right, it's Friday night. It's 11:02. That must mean it's time for Explain Yourself. I'm Kevin.
I'm Will, everyone.
And as always, we're excited because we have a cool intro that makes it look like we are awesome, and yet we had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, y'all didn't have that the last time I was on the show.
We called Joey Galvez and we said, if we're going to get Meta back, we have to do something
Oh my
better.
God, I appreciate it.
Yes, so it is all for you. And so Meta is here. Why don't you give us a quick 30-second elevator pitch on your comic, and then we'll go around the horn with the other two creators.
All right, so basically I am Sorcier or Meta or whatever, and I'm the creator of Sacrimony, A Tale of Love, Life, and Death in no particular order. I'm self-taught, so I do all the art, writing, marketing, lettering, whatever, everything. And it's a story that follows around a family, a very dysfunctional family. There is a fallen god who was banished to the mortal realm after killing another god. His ex-wife, who doesn't want anything to do with him and just wants to live a normal life. And there's their demon-winged daughter who mysteriously rose from the dead.
All right, that is where to stop it, because that is intriguing. We want to get into it, but we're not doing it yet. Travis, what are you on Kickstarter for? Travis Gibb is joining us for the second time as well. Welcome back, buddy.
Yeah. You also didn't have the intro for me. I'm very sad it wasn't made for me. And that
we called Joey and we said, can we do an intro that would keep Travis away? And he did not do.
He did not do that. Right.
No. So I mean, we got you here, so we might as well talk comics.
Like before, I didn't have to explain myself, but now it's just screaming that I have to. Like before, I felt comfortable. I'm just hanging out with friends and we're having a chat, but now, like, explain yourself. Like it's aggressive.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying this dry January thing, so I'm a little bit more tense. I'm sorry.
Should I drink on your behalf?
Oh gosh, if you want to, please.
I don't have anything handy. I should have prepared something, but I feel like it's rude to get up and leave.
Coke,
Nice.
Kraken and Pepsi, if you will. But I am representing, I've done tons of comics, Breakdown 40 Bodies, Voodoo Nation, Cthulhu Invades Oz, all that cool stuff. But today I am representing the 603, New Hampshire, because I have a book called Granite State Punk. Granite State Punk is about a very cool punk rocker named Zeke, who is a recovering alcoholic. He has also quit drinking. After doing a stint in jail, he comes to live in his parents' house, who are both passed away. And as he starts to sober up, or as he tries to sober up, he realizes that he'd been drinking away a lot of his memories and starts to remember how he may be related to a coven of witches. We follow the Granite State Old Man in the Mountain, which you may not know about if you're not from New Hampshire, but in New Hampshire, there was a face. It was on a mountain. That face fell off. So this was a face. It was a natural occurring face. It's on every coin, every license plate, everything you've ever seen in New Hampshire. It fell off in 2003. Maybe it's connected to Salem witch trials and witches and all that. And that's what Granite State Punk is. It's a one-shot.
Awesome. We're going to get into more of that. If you do cons in Florida, you know Rob Andersin, but you may know about his kids comic, CatDad and Supermom, and you may not. So why don't you give us an elevator pitch on CatDad and Supermom, and then we're going to roll right into that campaign. So you get to do 30 seconds hot, fast, and then we're going to slow down and do a deep dive.
All right. Well, CatDad and Supermom began by teaching morals with farts, and now we're going to find out what really makes a hero, and even the secret origins behind it. Sometimes people aren't aware of how superheroes are actually created. We're going to get a little bit of the background of that within this story that's family friendly and meant to entertain the entire family and bring the family together.
So the lead character in your story seems pretty close to home. Can you tell us a little bit about Jax?
Jax is my son, who is turning 7 actually in February, and he is autistic. And when he was coming up and first, developing, you could see there was something off with him. But he loved action figures, but he hated books, and it broke my heart because I'm a comic book creator. So I actually created a book, and it's called Jax the Andersin, and it was about him. And it was this simple idea of for him. What makes a superhero. It was the original idea of it. And it turned out in that one, that big spoiler, it was his parents. because as he asked me as a comic book creator, I did the whole thing where I tell him, well, if you get bit by a spider and you have responsibility and you have to do the right, all that, and you tell a little kid that, and they're just whoa. So my kid goes, okay, so if my dad was bit by a cat, he'd become CatDad.
Yeah.
So this was a joke that later Raheel, when he wanted to work with me, said, can we do more with that? And at that point, I hadn't really gone very far with it because the original idea I had kind of fell apart, which happens in comics. Mm-hmm. So I said, yeah, let's restart it as CatDad and Supermom. We'll put some of the same things and change a few things. We changed some outfits and stuff. When we came out, it was actually from a challenge. And remember, my son is autistic, so I wanted to make it funny. So we had this farting elephant that used their farts as shapes. And it was like a Green Lantern ring. And that all came from a video much like this, where I said there was no such thing as writer's block. I could write anything and no one could stump me. And someone said, oh, yeah, write about an elephant. I was like, that's easy. And they're like, write one about an elephant who farts. You can get that issue by going to Scout Comics right now. But the most amazing part of the entire thing is that Jax opened that first book I made him, and to this date opens every book gently. He cherishes books now. He's learning to read. He's communicating. He's learning to find his own words. He is getting lost in his imagination in the ways that I show in the comic book. So it's like I was able to reach it. With autism, you have to find a way to reach a child. It's one of the biggest things. If you can connect with them, you can kind of guide them out. And so through comic books, I got to guide them out. And comic books, and I know, Kevin, we've talked about this. I'm dyslexic, really dyslexic. One of the worst things you can be to be a writer, but I am. It's not a choice. And if it weren't for comics, I would have never learned to read. So I love comics, and being able to use something I love to reach my son and build a relationship and have him love comics now. And he's been to over 100 Comic-Cons. He's been to more Comic-Cons than most adults, and he loves it. He runs around giggling. He loves interacting with all the cosplayers. I really am thankful for both the industry itself and all the things it has, because for an autistic kid, Comic-Cons and comic books are such a gateway to education, a gateway to reaching them and seeing them. So every page is important. Raheel, who's the artist, completely understands that. Chuck, who's on the screen right now, is one of the reasons the book is that good, because he always challenged me, always made me go further with it, made me go deeper. There were a couple of jokes I wasn't allowed to tell because sometimes I don't know the line. I'm a little too 1960s Bugs Bunny. I'm not 2020 Bugs Bunny. So luckily I had Chuck in my corner who knows Jax, and everyone on the team understands the importance of Jax. So when I say I won't put that book out if it's not perfect, we've gone through 6 scripts where I just didn't like it. And we waited until I got it right. And even with
I'm going to go, Rob, I'm going to go to the page and actually show some of the art. You can keep going. I just wanted you to know why we're.
No, so with Raheel, I mean, there are moments where in a book, sometimes you'll let something go as a writer and you won't push an artist, but there are moments that you just have to connect with. You have to get them right, especially when it's kids. Everything about this, because it's got to reach a kid, but it's also got to entertain a parent. So if you can't get a parent to like a story, they're not going to tell the story. They're not going to enjoy it. And the kid's going to see them not enjoying it. So it had to be told on 2 levels, just like Looney Tunes did, Scooby-Doo did. When you were a kid, you watched those shows and you were like, this is great. When you're an adult, you're like, oh my God, this is even better than I thought.
Right.
And that's what kind of happens in here. And you can see it happens at a Comic-Con. This is the first time we're actually at a Comic-Con. In the story, CatDad and Supermom is a book that the character that's based on me has made, based on Jax's dreams. So it's like a meta thing with me and him, but he says he loves this. The music on the actual Kickstarter, he chose, believe it or not. He has chosen the covers. I asked him for the alternate covers, the coloring book alternate covers. I said, what kind of coloring book do you want? And he said, building block cover. And and that's what we did. And we made a building block cover, and he loves it. And I like to have him involved. So he's almost like the 4th writer or the 4th person on the team, the 2nd writer, because he'll tell me what's good, and that's it. That's Mike Seeley's. We have Lance Footer, who did an amazing cover for us based on it, showing off in the next one. So, and I've been able to work with such amazing creators. And on this book, especially having Lance, because look what Lance did, and then what we did, and just watching that kid open his eyes and just be blown away by watching his story, his life kind of become a cartoon. I mean, I hope that he thinks I'm a cool dad later in life.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be that Winnie the Pooh moment where he grew up hating his dad for putting him out there. But it's already won a couple of awards, so I'm super thrilled about that. And there's a lot of pressure on a second book. When you come back with a second book, especially one that this really hit. Like I have a bigger grown-up audience. My trouble is getting kids to read it right now because the adults buy it and they wind up reading it. So I had to make dual packs so they can actually give it to their kids. But you see there's Ella Fart, who becomes the character. One of my favorite things in the entire book is when I take the farts, turn them into a train that says words, and I finally prove that words indeed can hurt you. So this is
each issue has a nice, it's for younger kids to be read to. So there are morals. There's an anti-bullying. There's how it can be hard to tell the truth in the first issue. And the second issue, I have to ask, there's an actor at the con who maybe isn't as nice to a young patron as he should be. Does that come from anything that you've witnessed yourself, or is this full fantasy? Because we know not everybody at a con is truly happy to be there.
Well, I can say it was never something directly that I've seen Jax go through, but I have seen kind of this brush off from some of the celebrities that might show up. They're like, even cosplayers, some of them for a little kid won't understand the importance the little kid has to that character. And they don't understand that when they're an ambassador for the character, the importance it is to handle children with such kid gloves. I dress up as CatDad. And I don't ever do anything. Like if someone calls me Batman, I don't get down and start yelling at them. No, I'm not Batman. I'm CatDad. And you have to represent yourself. And I think we've all had that moment in our life, though, where we've met someone that we really looked up to and they let us down. But instead of just doing a story like that, there's a twist. And I think the twist is so important because it also speaks to something that we don't often consider, especially as children. But it's a powerful moment. And I think that moment can really help a family have a conversation. I hope that at the end of every book I write with CatDad, the family talks about it.
I read that. I actually read this months ago, and I read it today, and I was like, oh yeah, I did read this. Do you want to give away the twist at the end, or do you want to hold that?
I honestly, for parents, if they want to know the twist, it's fine with me. If you don't want to hear it, you can put your headphones on.
Yeah, I'd say it's 11 o'clock on a Friday night. If a 5-year-old's up here, then they can party with us.
Yeah, exactly. I'll call Jax over. For a little bit of the twist is that in this moment where he's crushed, and for the first time, his dream doesn't come up with the answer. He sees something that's important, but he doesn't wake up with that answer. Like he does get a little taste. So he goes to the con and the dad out knows he's still upset, but there's a power to Comic-Con. We can run into our friends. And it just so happens that being in the Comic-Con circuit, we can sometimes reach out to fellow creators and get favors. The favor that my character that's based on me winds up doing is asking the creator of what is Admiral Hero, which is this is all based on the character who is mean to him, dresses up as Admiral Hero, talks to that creator and asks the creator, hey, can you talk to my son? And she takes Jax on this journey. And Jax, because he's in Comic-Cons, knows about creators, knows that this woman is created. And we make it a woman character because we wanted to do that. We loved the fact that we showed the diversity in it, because that's one thing that was very important. We didn't just want another male creator. And we wanted to have this story about a grandfather and how the grandfather inspired the Admiral Hero. And realizing that as creators, we put our heart into our creations, kind of showing a little bit behind the scenes to the people reading the book and making people realize that sometimes we write you. That also means the villains. So if you ever read a comic book and think, hey, that looks a lot like me and sounds like me, but why would they do that to me? Yeah, that's you. You done something. You done something that upset someone.
Every writer has a list of things that they need to purge from themselves, and sometimes it's memories of other humans. So just be nice to us because we're petty and vindictive. And I think I can say that about myself. We'll raise your hand if you're petty and vindictive. Travis. All right. Travis might not be petty.
Oh, I'm definitely
Vindictive?
petty. It's the vindictive part that I'm curious about.
Okay,
Petty,
all right.
All day, I mean, watch my Facebook. I'm definitely petty. Vindictive, not so much.
Happy Friday, Blake. All right, so CatDad, Supermom 2, you can get issue 1, like as you said, from Scout Comics. You can go to your local comic shop and ask them to order it for you, or they can probably pick it up in this Kickstarter, correct?
They can pick up the non-Scout version because we're getting rid of the older covers. Like we tried to make this special, and you want to get rid of the old stuff. As a creator, I'm not too interested in holding on to my stuff and slabbing it. I know I'm missing out on the money. I know I should be doing NFTs apparently, but honestly,
No,
I create. I
apologize. I am.
Oh no, I agree with you.
I'm very
you know what, guys? I think I'm gonna call it a night.
No, but for me, it's about my fan base.
Not Friday talk. That's what NFT stands for. Not Friday talk.
But for me, it's always connecting with the fan base, and I don't think you can connect with them when you put too much of a price tag on some of your stuff. I'd rather that happen later when I'm gone, and they look back at me and say, "Look at all the stuff he did," Yeah. And hopefully, the CatDad books are so worn out. There's only like 20 of them left that are pristine.
So that's a great into the kids. Let's ease more adult into Sacrimony, because we'll go from kids to a little bit of stuff, and then we'll get to the mature readers. So Meta,
mine is definitely mature.
Is it mature? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it had a couple of bad words, but I didn't think it was all that bad.
Oh, all right. I guess, I'm always like super wary about ratings, because it's like, some people will say like, yeah, I'd let my 11-year-old read that. And I'm like, really? There's cursing, there's gore, blood, spear through face. Like, all right, I guess. I don't know. I'm not going to tell people how to raise their kids.
But I have a lot of that. Always.
Fair.
I was, when we first started Tart, I was really worried whether we'd have to put mature readers on it. And then I grabbed Saga either 4 or 6 that was set on the sex planet. And I went,
I know that. That was pretty early on, actually. It might have been like 2.
I mean, okay, but they didn't have mature readers on their comic, and I was like, okay, we're fine, because we are prude nunnish compared to this comic book.
It's so funny because I also used Saga for my guidelines. It's like, okay, well, they're getting away with a lot here, so I think I don't have to put that label on there.
I'm going to go to the page, and we're going to look at this.
About Saga, since we're talking about Saga for a second,
sure.
I love Brian K. Vaughan. I've read everything he's ever written. And Saga upsets me when it adds that stuff, because he's so talented and doesn't need it, right? Like, I need a swear word periodically or a boob. Like, he doesn't need any of that. He's very talented, and he just puts it in there just because.
I don't think he does it because he needs it. I think it's more of just like, all right, hey, this is happening, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, I feel like that's more of the vibe I'm getting. It's just like, I'm just going to put this here, and, if people react to it, I don't give a shit.
Kevin, you should move Mata up and one of us down so we can see her face and she's not hidden.
No, don't.
I don't know how to do that.
Just move her, grab her, and move her. Move her up.
I do what?
Just touch her and move her up.
I need consent before I can do this, Matt.
I do not.
May I touch you?
Ask for consent first.
Joseph, just click on her picture and hold it, and then drag it to a different position.
It keeps asking me to remove her.
But then you'll see me making faces at you.
No, on the actual screen, where we are on the main screen, not below. On the actual screen.
On the meeting screen.
On the meeting screen.
Yeah. I really want to thank you guys for grinding this to a halt. Thanks, guys. I really want to appreciate Travis for coming to his second and last time on Explain Yourself. You thought I was aggressive before. All right. Where are we at?
Where are we?
Now I'm on CatDad again.
Yeah. Nope, Sacrimony's right there on the page, man. I see it.
As this grinds to a halt, remember, I can only do one thing, guys. I can't do 3 things. I'm not talented. All right.
I love that tagline. It's so cute.
Thanks.
That's so beautiful.
It randomly came to me because I'm like, all right, well, I guess I need a tagline. And I was like, a tale of love, life, freedom, something, death. Oh, but in no particular order. All right.
So this is a webcomic that you have written and drawn more than one time, if I remember.
Yeah, I started it back in 2016, and it was super rough. I think the best description I heard of it from a reader was that, it had good bones, but the bones needed to be moved around.
Oh, okay.
So
In
yeah,
no
it was
particular order.
in no particular order, exactly. So yeah, like the drawing was really rough. The writing was pretty rough because I didn't quite have a good handle on like how to go about doing it. So in like 2020, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna redo the whole damn thing. Which is funny because I think at that point I had like 300 something pages of webcomic
Oh
done.
my gosh.
And the even funnier part is that I'm adding new content to the books that's not in the webcomic. So there's like new pages that actually like explain more than I explained before. So it's like, for example, all of chapter 1, like before it was like 87 pages, now it's going to be bumped up to like 150 at least,
Oh wow.
with just like, explaining things better, like doing more establishing shots and stuff like that, because I was really bad at those before. And yeah, so this is book 3, which is pretty cool that I got to make a book 3 and have come this far. And it deals with more of like the godly sort of supernatural side of the story. So, I said that the winged guy there, the yellow pigeon man, is a fallen god who was banished from banished from like heaven, or dawn as I call it, because I don't like to use terms like heaven or hell or whatever, because it gives like too much of a Christian feel. I tried to like just like pick really super neutral terms. So he was banished for killing another god, and you get to find out more about the main gods that rule over Sacrimony. So we have like the god who has abandonment issues, and the devil who has mommy issues. And it's a wild ride. It's my favorite like chunk of scene in the story, and I think it's also the most iconic because you get to see like how cool the gods look, and you get to like find out sort of like the main purpose of the story, or like the overall plot, or at least the thing that like sets the whole story into motion. I mean, like, look at that. I love designing the gods.
No, this when I saw this, I think you put this up on Twitter a couple weeks back, and I just saw it was just so powerful, that blank side of the face.
Yep, and there's so much that I want to explain in terms of like the character design, like why there's that blank side of the face. It's basically because that particular god is missing their other half. So that's like to symbolize loss, and then there's like the crying side because it's like, oh no, I'm so sad. But they're crying like the stars, and it's super beautiful.
Hey, Danny wanted to know if we have a retailer tier for this for you. Sorry.
I could have a retail tier for you.
You
tomorrow.
want to have one for Danny? Yes. The Collective is an amazing comic shop, just awesome. Outside of Orlando.
Oh, thank you so much, Danny. I will definitely put a retail tier. Would you want all of the books? Because I have 1, 2, and 3, or would you just want 3? Or like, I've never set up retail tier before, so.
I can connect you to after if you need.
Oh yes, please, thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that on Facebook. I'll connect you.
Yay!
And awesome. a non retail person who is just hearing about this for the first time, they can get. It was all 3 issues for $29 catch up.
Yep. And all 3 issues gives you the physical books. It gives you PDFs. And also for each book, there's like 22 minutes of me cursing into the microphone and explaining like all of the lore and stuff. I don't know if you guys got to hear it, but like it was fun for me to record. And I basically was like, all right, well, this is this particular region. This is what they're known for. Like, just all these little like flavor things that I can't get to explain in story.
It's too fast, Kevin.
Oh.
We're both trying to do the same thing, turning it off. Yes, we would all love to see Sacrimony in our local comic shops. Retailer tiers are fabulous. I have failed miserably at them. And now that Tart is with Scout, I don't put them up because I figure like they can get it with Scout. But
right.
If you get somebody like Danny, who, when I went into his shop, I saw, I think it was one of Chuck Pino's books was up on the wall, and Douglas Brown's Stormy was up on the wall. And I was like, well, those are my friends. So I immediately just bought them because I was like, I had them at home, but I'm like, I got to buy my friends comics at shop in Orlando. Come on.
Oh, quick question for you. Nice. You've got 3 issues. Is this? Do you have a planned ending for this, or how many issues do you think this is going to go?
Oh man, it's one of those things where it's like it's taking a lot longer to like longer in story, not like production time wise, I guess, to get the things out that I want to get out. But I'm sort of like estimating like maybe it's going to be like 50 to 60 issues, but it might actually be more. Because it follows around a lot of characters over like a long span of time, and you kind of see how they live their lives and like, you know, how it started, how it's going, how it ends. And I do have a planned ending, but like it's fun figuring out how to get there.
Kevin, she's after our own heart.
Yeah.
See, I knew I loved you guys for a reason.
The longer the better, except that at one point you go like, you know what? I think I'm going to try to shorten this down. Get this finished.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll reach that point when like everything sort of starts coming together more. But right now I'm having fun just like setting things up and like building off of like past events and stuff, because that's the fun part.
Yeah, no, it's a really fun, very inventive fantasy world that doesn't. What I like about what you do is it feels very fresh to me. It doesn't feel like someone else's take on Lord of the Rings, which is something that I default to when I write fantasy. So I think what you're doing is very original, very unique, and certainly well worth a check. Now, David Burns says he's never seen Travis Quiet so long. There was a reason for this, David. We wanted you here to talk about Granite State Punk. So let's Travis, you're on, buddy.
I'm still trying to figure out my tier for Sacrimony here, but all right, I guess I'll get back to that. You'll get back. We'll figure out what tier I'm buying.
At the end, we'll do a live exclusive.
Yeah, let's share it. We'll talk about it. I'll talk about each pledge level. Figure it out myself. But yeah, I'm like always back on Kickstarter. You know. Granite State Punk is my newest book. It is a one-shot. It is the best thing I've effing written. Like, it is literally everything. I've spent the most money on it. Like, the art is fantastic. This one-shot is so important to me. It came to me one night. It's kind of a mix of SLC Punk, a little bit of Blair Witch, you know, kind of tied up together. You know, lots of third wall breaking, lots of talking to the audience. I got Kevin Joseph to back it because I mentioned Game of Thrones on my preview pages, you know, all the important things that you need, you know. And it's doing gangbusters. It's been the best received book that I put on Kickstarter, you know. You know, I've done a few. This is my 12th campaign, and this is the one, man. Like literally, I love this book. Oh, thanks, Blake. I appreciate it. I love this book. I'm so proud of this book. It takes everything I love about New Hampshire and where I was born and raised. It deals with a lot of my anger. I come from a drug and alcohol family, and it deals with a lot of my anger and frustration of that lifestyle. And I get to say it in a fun, aggressive way. I took everything that people loved about Broke Down in 4 Dead Bodies, everything that people loved about Voodoo Nations, and kind of mixed it together to make this like, this is my thing. If you don't like this book, just don't read my stuff. Like, because this is the best I can do. Like, this is it. This is the book. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's just so awesome. I'm so proud of it.
Well, I think one thing that you have done, you said you've had 12 Kickstarters, is you've launched 12 Kickstarters, and all of the ones that have had your name on it that you were actually responsible for were delivered very timely, in perfect condition, well, and the books are good. So you really have built a reputation that you're going to deliver on your promises. So that's, you know, coming back to Kickstarter when you've delivered over and over and over again is, I think you're getting the fruits of that labor. So congratulations. And Danny says Orange Cone stuff outsells some publishers from Diamond in their store. So that's pretty solid.
Appreciate that. Yeah, Danny's a big supporter of their store. He hand delivers all my
I didn't know that was an option.
No.
I'm interested in that. Actually,
I have had hand delivered rewards from you, Travis.
So hasn't Rob. So hasn't Rob. Will, you're the only one who hasn't.
Fayetteville's a little far north for you, I think. So.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the page.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna see this page, guys. So if Travis goes away, I can't fucking do anything about it.
Move
I
me,
got it,
grab
man.
me, move
I
me.
got it.
I
You have
can't
my
see
consent.
it.
You can touch me. We've slept in the same hotel. Like
We have.
intimate.
Yes, we have. All right.
There we go. Here, I'll put Travis in the middle. There we go. Perfect.
You can see I was checking out your campaign tonight. That was at the bottom.
Appreciate that.
So tell us about your artist on this, because it's such a unique style and it feels right for the story you're telling me about.
Yeah. This is, I mean, I don't mind even saying it. This is the highest I've ever paid for an artist.
Worth it.
What's that?
Worth it.
Worth it. Yeah, he's absolutely worth it. He's worth every dime. And it's very modern, right? Like, so my negative about comics, if you look at Broke Down, it's a very bright crime story. And people are like, why is it a bright crime story? Because that's what I wanted to do. But it wasn't what, the fans want. But this is very modern, something's killing the children, Automol, they all have kind of this scratchy vibe. So I wanted to get that vibe, this very modern horror vibe to the book. So when I hired Patrick, he does a book called Discordia. I loved it. I needed to hire him as quickly as possible. And those houses are like hardcore New England. Like if you live in New England, and you're in New York, man, they're kind of houses like that too in upstate New York.
Yeah, they're kind of like these like weird Victorian Tudor-esque like townhouse type thingies.
Right.
Well, I think there's more than two doors.
See, Game of Thrones, you got the dragon right there. That was written specifically for it. But it fits the punk scene. I'm from Rochester, New Hampshire. A lot of the imagery is shot realistic versions of that. Naked Thoughts is a band from when I was in high school that a friend of mine was in. Like, I did things very, very artistic. And this book is a little artsy. Like I said, when I talk about SLC Punk, I break the fourth wall. I talk to the audience. We do a lot of really cool things, as well as a cool urban legend type of stuff that we add to the book.
Very cool.
In a boob, in a butt.
Nice. Who did the lettering on this? This is such a beautiful page.
This is Jerome, my same letterer who does all my books. Jerome writing does all my books. Yeah. He's very talented. If I can make him do cooler things.
So your artist he handled the coloring too?
Yes, yeah, he does the color and art. Yeah, he does the whole shebang. And this, in my opinion, so he does a book called Discordia, which is a very, very good book. Funds very well on Kickstarter with Chris Jerome, I think is the last name. But I really feel this modern setting is where he thrives, because this stuff is just amazing. Some of the stuff.
Those textures are they're crazy. They're so good.
Yeah, and he puts these things out so fast, like it's crazy. And look at his monster. Look at that cool little skull monster we got going on there. Skull
Amazing.
Golem. Who doesn't love a skull golem?
His actual art doesn't remind me of it, but his layouts have a Sam Keith feel to me. When I look at it, I think of those early Sandman issues with the
just not exaggerated. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
It went away, but yeah, that's my book. Super proud of it. And love that panel out with the house. Yeah, I think it's a great panel. I'm very proud of this book. It's like, I can't say anything more about it. It's so good. It's so good. And I'm not trying to brag. Like, I don't talk. You guys have had me on your show before. Like, I don't talk about how excited I am. This is the most excited. Like, I cut my hair, like the whole thing. I am so excited about this book because it really speaks to me. As I've started doing this for a while, like my last couple of books, I had Expired, which is something that somebody else created. I wrote. Holiday Spirits was Jerome's book, and I wrote in it, but it wasn't mine. Like, this is getting back to my writing, my core, like putting something out in the world. It'd been a long time. And this is why you need to have a good wife, because your wife was like, you need to put your own things out there. Because my next book was supposed to be Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. But that's, again, a big anthology project. Great project. It's going to do really well when we push it. My wife's like, you need to get your own stuff. Like you're falling in a funk. Even though I'm writing stuff, there's things in production. Like this book has been done since September. Like we need to put it out there. And I'm so excited that it's here. I'm so excited that people have resonated with it. Like I said, it's the biggest launch I've ever had. I'm super excited. I can't wait to get more backers and more support, because I love this story and I want to share it with people.
So you kind of lead into a Kickstarter on the whole question that I'd like everybody to talk about. How do you decide which project is next if you're juggling multiple projects? Now I know, like I'm pretty much on Tart, Crossover Division, Sacrimony. Is that the only book you're working on, Meta? Or?
Yep, that's it. That's the one.
It.
Yep.
So there's three of us who are just like the next issue or the next trade paperback or whatever. Rob, you do multiple different types of Kickstarters, multiple projects on Kickstarter, I should say. How do you decide what's next and put things in the proper order for you?
You make a plan and then things go wrong, and then you throw the plan away, and then you go with whatever you can. I mean, things get in the way of many things. CatDad was supposed to go in September. That didn't happen the way it was supposed to. Eclipse wound up going, which is under my Bobby Gregory, because that's more of an all ages kind of early Marvel book, because the creator Mike Seeley wanted to bring like classic telling. Like it's weird to be writing someone else's project and be told what you can and can't do. And I actually kind of like it, because I think it helps me grow as a character. But there are moments where I'm like, no, that really should say the F word. It's just like, that's not going in my book, not with my mom. You got to way around that. So you got to challenge yourself. So I think it's the challenge of what's going to fit right now. Where have we been? What have we dealt with? How's the year looking? What's going on right now? I had to cancel an entire book in 2021 because of what happened on January 6th, because we had almost an identical scene, not the same reasoning behind it, but we had a fight at the Capitol, and there was no way we were releasing that book at that point anymore. There were different reasons for it, but you just sometimes you get too close to home. Even with the Fourth Monkey, when we were doing that book, I don't know who knows this. The Fourth Monkey was the book I was on years ago, and it was about social awareness, and Bob Sally's on it. A whole bunch of great creators are on it. My story was about a young woman who committed suicide because she was bullied so much. Somehow, just in the way things are, the book got delayed, and suddenly this court case started in England. The court case in England was about a young woman who committed suicide, and this woman was going it. And you suddenly wonder, do I have to cancel it? So I think it's a little bit of a mix of what's going on in the real world, what is fully ready to go, because you don't want to be stalled, and how the world around you is. Because sometimes you almost got to take a pulse for it. You got to realize, hey, this might not be the best time. Like Halloween would probably not be the best time for launching like a Easter book or a lover's book or something like that, unless you have the audience. If you have the audience, you can go any day of the week.
Right.
Plus it's also who you're working with, because sometimes you can have your work done, but someone else, because I'll do an anthology with the Continuum, my stuff's done, but we're waiting on that one person. That project's now delayed, because I have a golden rule. If the book's not 90% done, we don't launch. That is, I do not. I have gone to Amazon to fulfill. I can get anyone to print it. We can lose money printing the book. The first Continuum went out of our pockets, basically, because of a bad actor within that we had been doing business with. We paid for the entire book to be shipped to everyone. Every single person who got an issue was out of our pocket. Mike Seeley put up the most money for it. He's the CEO of Continuum. So you just keep rolling with the punches, and you just keep hoping the audience will be there. We and Will were talking about it. It's weird being on with CatDad, because I had to start a whole new account. And when you start a whole new account, you lose all your backers. And even worse, I created it on this page and then recreated it here. Half my friends signed up here, didn't realize they had to sign up here, have no idea that I'm live. I had a friend today go, when's CatDad coming out? I'm like, I'm really not doing my job well. I'm failing at promoting.
Well, in some of your books are much more adult, so having two accounts does make a lot of sense. My book is soft R rated, and then I did a kids book, so I kept it on the same account. But you know, do you want to talk about one of your other books? So
it's your show. I'm happy to talk about anything I create.
Well, when I first met you, it was called Fetish Babies, and it has since been renamed, and I'm blanking on the name. I apologize.
Unleashed.
Barbara Unleashed. And it was a story told within the S&M community. But what I liked about it, not really knowing anything more about it than what I run across on, you know, in movies or whatever, is that there was a glossary of terms at the end of the book. So it was really digging in about consent, really digging in about the trust that needs to actually exist to be in that community. So I was like, all right, it's cool. And so you've got Barbara Unleashed, which is definitely NC-17 at the least.
Believe it or not, it would get an R rating.
It would get an R rating. Okay.
By any standard, it would be an R and a soft R. There's not a lot of nudity. You probably have more nudity actually in Tart than I do. But the nature of it, because the minute you see BDSM, people put blinders on and they start making assumptions. And I don't blame them. After 50 Shades of Grey, we have a lot to make up with the BDSM community.
We don't talk about that. It never happened. Never, ever happened. Doesn't exist.
That would have made a great Law and Order episode, Special Crimes Unit. I'm just saying, 50 Shades of Grey, the billionaire gets arrested at the end. No, but so there is that, the minute you say that, and there's words like that anywhere. Travis deals with it when he does voodoo. The minute you say voodoo, suddenly people kind of like, you know, they clam up. Their ass gets a little tighter because they're afraid of voodoo and they don't want to deal with it. The religion won't let them do it. So there are just words in our culture that when we say them out loud as creators, we know we're going into a fight. And it's weird because the first book I released was Barbara Unleashed. At the time it was Fetish Babies, and it was a play on words that caused a whole bunch of problems, hence the name change. Even though we still use the blog name, it's not titled that. But I would have that book. I'd have monsters where I turn the monsters into human beings, game genetic disorders, and it was Hollywood or the real monsters for making them monsters on the silver screen right in the center. And then there was Jax. 3 books that did not belong on one table right away. People would literally look at me and who did all these books? And I'd be like, you could tell that they thought there was something wrong with me. And it's only gotten worse because now there's more. One of my taglines, and you know this, Kevin, is I create books about fetish, monsters, and more. Literally wear that on my t-shirt. And I have a giant t-shirt that says free hugs and spanks. I am a spectacle of a show, but people like it. Some people get the jokes. Some people want to talk about it. I tell you the truth. I have sold more books because of that free hugs and spank sign, and it's not the fetish book. It's just the fact that someone thought it was funny, and it was open. And you know, our culture is not as closed-minded as we sometimes think it is if we allow it not to be. And you have to be ready, like Kevin said. My book isn't just this girl gets beat up and look at her. It's not that. It's a story of her journey through the New York City Fetish Underground. Real places from New York City. Real people from New York City show up. And it talks about consent. And it was talking about consent before that became big, and now even more so. It has a BDSM survey now, which helps people learn not to be abused. And I'm actually going to be making, and I haven't said this on camera, so this is first for you.
This is exclusive. Wait, hold on one second. This is an Explain Yourself exclusive.
There you go. We're going to be making a shorter version of the BDSM survey that we're going to be putting out this year as part of the Continuum launch to actually get to know a potential just dating partner. Questions to ask to learn to see if the person's compatible with you. So it doesn't go into the deep part of it, but at least you could tell, hey, this is a fun thing. These are the kind of the things. Would you ever be willing to try this? And it's a way to have an open dialogue. Because I think in our culture, we have trouble describing and talking about ourselves other than our ego. And what I mean about that is if we're shy about anything, we shy away from talking about it. And when it comes to sexuality, if you wanted a compatible partner, you need to be able to be open. And I think that we lost that in the last couple of years. So I hope to help people reestablish that.
Now, one thing you talked about with that you talked about, like the voodoo was kind of a push away, the fetishes push away. Niching down does push people away from a book, but it invites people in. You know, like I know that when I saw Sacrimony, I saw fantasy, I saw some type of an angel type being that screamed to me, you got to check this out. And it could actually scream to someone else, I don't want anything to do with this. I'll ask Matta, do you feel like niching down has helped you find an audience, or do you feel like it has repelled away?
Oh man, I don't think I have like enough experience in the world of like having the story out there to like accurately answer that. I think, there's going to be like a group of people who are like, oh, this feels like really fresh and cool. And then, there's going to be that group of people like, actually, you need more dwarves and you need more elves. And where's the war and the orcs? Like you can't like win-win. So I take what I can get.
I left Matt a one voicemail and I hear about it every time. I want more dwarves. I'm sorry.
And you sound like that too, like the voice that I did. You sounded exactly like that.
Yeah, we need some drops of that voice, I think. That's pretty
awesome. Well, Travis, you've got many different styles of books. How do you feel like taking an audience from a Broke Down to a Cthulhu Invades Oz to Granite State Punk? Do you feel like some people follow you all the way through, or do you feel like you've got your crime people, you've got your fantasy people?
There's obviously people who follow me all the way through, but most people like the book that they like, and I'm okay with that. It took a while to get but I wrote them both. But so it took a while to understand that no, they liked your crime stuff, so you don't really like me. You like what I was writing about. What about me? I'm important too.
Damn it.
Damn it. Especially when you go to, Cthulhu Invades Oz, and you're at 500 backers, you're like, where are you guys? Oh, you don't like me? Oh, I put Cthulhu and Oz, the things I don't create in a book and put them together, and you seem to love that, but no, get me together. Get me in it. And even Wonderland, Wonderland's probably going to do better than Oz, just based on conventions. When I bring that preview out, people will rush to my table to talk about Wonderland. And I'm like, well, we have this complete Oz book. They're like, shut up. Talk to me when Wonderland comes out. I'm like, all right, I'm sorry. My bad. But yeah, so transferring that audience, that's kind of what Granite State Punk does a little bit. Like I said, it's kind of the merging of the two. It kind of speaks to both. But I'm okay with that. And it shows me growing as a writer, because you can read Broke Down or Voodoo, and I think both you and Will have, they're very, very different. If you didn't know me, you wouldn't know that they're written by the same writer. Yeah, you get some of the stuff, and I now and then I get to write in Voodoo a little piece of Broke Down dialogue that's funny to me, in issue 2. There's a woman, Maria's following, who's a voodoo priest, is following this girl, and she's going, oh, what are you doing? I'm looking for my husband. And she's like, well, you're in New Orleans. You're not going to find your husband, somebody else's husband, sure, but not your husband. And that's kind of out of character for a voodoo book, but fits. So that's fun. But yeah, it's hard to translate that audience.
Adultery is fun.
Highly don't recommend it. It is an amazing life.
Kevin's views
I
do
am
not
not
affect
going to
the
mess that
official
up.
views of.
By the way, based on my joke and his reaction, you can tell my wife is not going to watch this tomorrow, and Travis's might.
She could be watching right now. She sometimes will make a comment or tell me what I talked about, and I was like, "Oh shit, you're watching? All right." But no, it's hard. But what's cool about it is finding those people who are following you and following you all the way through and figuring out what you like. I started a Substack this year, and having people pay for my Substack. They're like, I want to be part of your creation and see your behind the scenes. I was like, but I'm nobody. Zero, I'm not that. Please don't. Is there a refund button? I can't find it. I need to. But it's super cool. And I'm super blessed to be able to do it and create and hang out with people like you. I love Tart. I don't understand it, but I read it every time. I feel if I read it all at once, maybe I'll get it, but I just, don't. And Will gets to add new things to his book every month, which is unfair to the rest of us who have to, stick in our own continuity. That's not fair. You can't do that. So
I'm just I just steal from everybody, man. That's all I do.
Just make your book public domain, and it can be part of Crossover Division.
There you go. Yeah.
Any of my characters could cross over, Will. If you need people to break down with dead bodies, you've got it, Will.
All right, man.
Well, it's 11:50. Let's do one more quick talk on each of the projects. I admitted to the creators right before the show that I realized that the thing that kept me going after midnight was the wine. And since I'm not drinking that right now, I get tired around midnight. So you guys can go as long as you want, but I got to shut this down because I'm about to pass out. But we're going to do one more quick talk on each of the ones. And I'm going to grab Granite State's the one I saw first. So Travis, one last a big pitch on your comic.
Yeah, if you like New Hampshire lore, birch trees and shit like that, Old Man in the Mountain, witches, addiction, punk rock, then you will love Granite State Punk. It's a one-shot, so you don't need anything else, and it's very cool. Lots of swears, lots of F words, lots of pop culture references, lots of commentary. It's the best thing I've ever written. So if you like any of my other stuff, you will like this because it's better than that other stuff.
Nice.
And I like that other stuff too, just for the record.
All right, we're going to stick with the F-birds. Matta, bring us out on Sacrimony.
All right. Well, if you're looking for a fantasy comic that doesn't feel like someone's D&D campaign, not that there's anything wrong with that, but something with like a fresh take on fantasy with like custom races, places, faces, things like that, like lots of mythology, lore, like my God, decades worth of world building. Totally check out Sacrimony. Also, if you're into dysfunctional families, totally check out Sacrimony because they're everywhere.
But please put more dwarves in.
Oh my God, it's not your traditional fantasy. Tolkien would not approve of this.
Love it. Rob, you're on the hot seat.
By the way, I have an F word, farts, because that's what
it works.
There we go. Because our first book taught farts with morals with farts, and this time we're coming to talk about what it is to be a hero again. And we think it's really important to give something that the family can sit down and enjoy and have conversations about. It can be a learning tool, make you laugh, and actually make a child reach into comics and see the power of them. Because remember, comics can be an educational tool if we allow it to be. Don't let the 1950s reports that were all lies dissuade you. Get your comic books in kids' hands so they can learn to read and appreciate their imagination. Remember, from first grade, we go from picture books to second grade, none. Kids lose interest. Give them back the interest by getting comic books in their hands. And you can find it by going to CatDad and Supermom.com.
Nice. And Danny says, can't wait for the collective to get all of these series. And yeah, it is. If you are anywhere near Orlando, look up the collective. It is just a fabulous comic shop. It is so worth your time. If you're hitting Disney, make sure you have an extra day to check out the collective. He says we don't let a kid walk out of the shop without a comic in hand. That's nice. How do you not let them walk out? I mean, that sounds like kidnapping, Danny. All right, so
he's gone now.
He's gone.
He's like, oh no, they're on to me.
So we're going to talk about the two projects that we had creators on last week. You guys are welcome to hang with us as we do for another 5 or 10 minutes, and you're welcome to go to bed. I know that I'm not the only one who said this was their bedtime, so no pressure. You can take off if you're
I'm
done
good.
with this.
I'm good.
Okay, cool.
I didn't drink. If I did drink, I would have been like sleeping right now. You would have just seen a chair and a background, and that's it.
I feel we need
Danny
to get
throws
more
comics
money.
at him like.
Did you know that she gets 1% of her stuff goes to ice cream?
Yes.
So I want to back it and want to get as many people to back it as possible so I can demand a picture of like an open freezer with just tons of 1% ice cream because I'll do the fucking math. I'll figure out how much ice cream you should have.
Yo, actually,
I want to know.
Actually,
for my last campaign, I did so well that I treated like all of my best friends to ice cream, and I posted a picture of it like on a campaign update because I was like, "Hey, look at what happened! Look at what you guys did! This is amazing."
Your book is not important, but look at our ice cream party.
I mean, that's the most important part, right? Like,
I did have one backer who lives near me, and instead of paying $7 in shipping, I met her at a Baskin Robbins and bought her an ice cream cone and gave her the stuff.
aww.
So that was fabulous. Yeah, Danny throws the comics at him like he's Gambit, so that's great. Before we get to it, though, Travis, have you back Sacrimony? Are we going to do this live?
I am so yes, we're going to go all in. I've decided I'm going to get all three.
Okay.
Yay.
You know, because of the thing. And I'm not going to go digital because look at this gorgeous art. Like you are wasting your goddamn money if you're going digital.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
You need to see this in all its sacrimonious glory. So I'm going all in. I've decided. And not only that, like this woman has great taste in comics. Like I looked at what she's backed, and she backs only the creme de la creme. There was one book called Tart. I wasn't a big fan of that, but the rest of them were super good. Like
the thing that I hate about Tart is I always know how it's going to end. Every issue, it has never once surprised me.
Really? I thought you got in a fight with the writer, man.
Yeah, you said he was kind of a dick, so.
Yeah,
I'm going all in. You get $34.
Yay. Thank you so much.
No problem. No problem.
All
I'm
right.
tweet about it because I want everyone to know that I spent $34.
This is why we have multiple creators on, so we can almost guarantee that somebody gets back during our show.
Yeah,
it
might just be earlier too. I forgot about it, so I always back Rob's stuff.
So live from last week, still we have Frank Martin's Pipe Creepers. Yep. Number 2. This is a 2-issue mini series, so you can get issue 1 and 2. It is plumbers go into the basement of like a New England mansion and get sucked into a Lovecraftian adventure. And really cool art, fun. Issue 1 is fun. I haven't read issue 2 yet. I imagine it's going to be just as fun. But it's kind of like Mario Brothers stuck in the in a Lovecraftian adventure.
It's better. Issue 2 is better than issue 1. It's really good.
Nice.
Next one up is Lunatic, the Lover, and the Poet, I believe, by
Brian Hawkins.
Brian Hawkins, yeah.
Fabulous guy, great writer. He did Black Cotton for Scout Comics. He's edits for Mad Cave. I think he's the editor of Nottingham. I mean, he's just prolific, great guy, good writer. This is a college theater troupe is putting on Midsummer Night's Dream, and someone decides that he needs to slash up a lot of the cast in a puck mask. We don't know who yet. Hey, kitty. Hi, kitty.
Sorry.
But we do know that saying puck mask killer is a lot of fun to say. So
yes,
there you go.
And I believe because this is the start of the year and we took 2 weeks off, I think that's all that's live.
Nope.
Is that correct?
One more, Lady Mayhem.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot that. This is an ode to 90s shoot 'em ups, punch 'em ups. Lady Mayhem is the artist and writer team. Jana? See, it gets late. We get tired.
Yeah.
And I forgot that they were on, so I didn't refresh myself.
Jenna
you got this
Wright
one, Will.
And Carl Slomaninsky. I probably mispronounced that because I'm from the South. So it is a 90s or 80s? 90s ultra-violent revenge tale with lots of super big guns and just crazy over-the-top violence, and it was a lot of fun to talk about. It's an awesome looking project too.
Yeah, 64-page one-shot that just feels like a great time. All right, thank you guys so much. We've got 2 comments I'm going to check before we leave. Yeah, Danny says, love Frank Martin, great writer. Great writer, great dude. And Ignacio, yep, Mario Brothers meets Lovecraft. Came up with that for us last week. So thank you everyone who tuned in.
Story with me. It's so good.
All right. Well, when it's on crowdfunding site, you know who to
let us know.
Thank you guys, everyone. Have a great week. We really appreciate you, everybody who came in, talked to us, Geek Collective for letting us do this, and most of all, Rob, Travis, Amata, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Great talking to you guys.
Sacrimony 4, you're invited.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to happen in May. So
okay.
soon.
Done.
Soon.
Oop.